It was just about time to close up the office for the day and I was looking forward to a quiet, peaceful evening at home. It had been a long week and now that it was drawing to a close, I was hoping that I could get a little head start on it by closing a little early. But that was not to be. I just so happened to be glancing at the door when I saw a shadow appear in the frosted glass window. A knock on the door and she walked into the office. I say walked, when it would more appropriate to say she glided into the office. She came up to my desk and spoke. "Are you the detective on the door?" "Detective Kirkman," she asked, her face partially obscured by her large floppy black hat. "Yes, I am. Can I help you?" I said. "I might need you to do some work for me," she said. I stood up indicating the chair on the other side of my desk. "Please have a seat, miss." She took a seat, sitting down and crossing her legs. "Reynolds. Beverly Reynolds. Well, Miss Reynolds, how can I help you?" I asked. The woman in black raised her head and I saw her for the first time then. She was an absolutely stunning woman, with a flawless classical face, high cheekbones, full crimson lips and the most beautiful blue eyes I had ever seen. My heart skipped a beat as I looked into her beautiful face until her voice broke the spell. "It's Mrs. Reynolds, at least for now. Mr. Kirkman, I suspect my husband may be cheating on me and I would like you to find out if he is and with whom. If, in fact, he is cheating and you can get proof of it, I will file for divorce and take him for everything he is worth. He has done this in the past twice before, and he told me both times that he has changed. But a leopard rarely changes his spots and if he is back doing it again, I need to know," she said. "I see. Well, let me start off by saying I am sorry that you had to come to me with this. However, I understand your situation all too well. I have had dozens of cases like yours and most of them, not all, mind you, but most of them, the spouse was indeed cheating. Husbands and wives both cheat and I have investigated both. More often it's the husband I find cheating, but it's certainly not exclusive to men," I explained. "I'm sure it isn't. I've known girlfriends who have played around as well. But I have remained faithful, Mr. Kirkman, despite his catting about. However, I refuse to continue being a victim to him. What he is doing is wrong, and dangerous to both him and me." "No, I would think not, Mrs. Reynolds. Yes, I would be happy to take the case if you'd like. I think I can find you the answers you seek," I said. "And what would something like that run?" she asked. "My standard fee, Mrs. Reynolds, is $150 an hour plus expenses," I said flatly. "I see. That is kind of pricey." "Well, Mrs. Reynolds, there are cheaper detectives in town, but you won't find one better. I can charge higher prices because I get the job done." "I suppose you are right, Mr. Kirkman. Okay, you have the job. When can you get started?" "I will get on it first thing Monday morning. Meanwhile, why don't you go home and gather me all the information you have up to this point? I need to know the name of the suspected other woman if you know it, as well as his history of cheating in the past, along with all the regular details, his full name, address, any credit cards he has, where he works, and anything else you think might help me track him," I told her. "Okay, I can do that," she said. "Now, because I am now investigating your husband, we have to be discreet. You can see here that I have two phones on my desk. The black one here is a regular phone. People looking to hire me such as yourself can look my office up in the phone book and call here. I answer it as I would normally. But this red phone is a decoy phone, meant to hide me from people who may snoop around. If you have to call me for some reason, always try to do it when hubby is at work and call me from someplace other than home so the number can't be traced. If you have to call from home, though, call this number." I handed her a business card with just the decoy phone's number on it. "Now, don't be surprised when I answer AMG Marketing Service. That is the name associated with this phone, and should hubby want to redial this number to find out who you called, he will think it's just a telemarketer. Also, if you call from home, make it a very short message. Like, "Hi, call me right away," or "I need to meet you in your office." That way it won't look like we are really talking and hubby will think it was just a misdialed number, I told her. You think of everything, don't you, Mr. Kirkman? I told you, I'm the best. Oh, and you can call me Peter, I said, smiling. Okay, Peter. I will get the things you need to get going on your investigation and get back with you. Thank you for taking this job. Well, I hope for your sake that I don't find anything, I said, standing up and taking her hand. Oh, I'm prepared if you do. As I said, this isn't the first time he's done this. But, thank you. My beautiful client then turned and glided out of the office just as gracefully as she had come in. I went home right after she left and got started on my weekend plans. But my mind kept going back to my gorgeous new client. But as the weekend progressed and other things took over my thoughts, she faded into the background. Monday morning came around bringing her back into my thoughts. I began to work on her case as soon as I got to the office that morning. I started my investigation simply by looking up hubby's name, Paul Allen Reynolds, on the internet. My search showed there were 2 people by that name here in New York City. Okay, how about a Paul Allen Reynolds married to a Beverly Reynolds? Ah, there you go. It seemed as if Mr. Paul Allen Reynolds was a well-regarded plastic surgeon with an office in Manhattan. I could see the dollar signs forming in front of my eyes already. He had been practicing in the area for almost 10 years. That's good. It meant he had established a client base and a name in this town and wouldn't be as willing to just pick up and disappear at the first sign of trouble. What else could I find out easily? Mr. Reynolds had no criminal background and his driving record seemed pretty clean, too. One of those fine upstanding citizens they were always talking about, apparently. Only this citizen seemed to have a skeleton or 2 in the closet. But I couldn't do much more without some more info from the jilted wife, my beautiful client. So after opening a file on my computer for the case, I jotted down all the info I had found so far and began to work on other cases I had going at the time. The rest of the day was pretty uneventful. I closed one of my older cases which always made me feel good, then went home for the night. The next morning, as I was opening up the office and getting the computer fired up for the day, the regular office phone rang. Kirkman Investigative Services, I answered. Hello, it's Beverly Reynolds. I'm calling from the library down the street from my home. I have the information you asked for. Is there someplace we can meet? Oh, hello, Beverly. Sure, do you know the little Thai restaurant on the corner of 8th and 42nd Street in Brooklyn? No, but I'm sure I can find it. Okay, well when you get there, go in and ask for the owner, Lin Tao. He speaks English so tell him you are there to meet me. He'll know what to do from there, I told her. Okay. I will take me about 45 minutes to get there, she said, a bit unsure about this meeting. That's fine. I'll be waiting, I said. I had this little room above the Thai restaurant that I used for private meetings. I had helped the restaurant owner, Lin Tao, with an investigation into some workers he had that were skimming off his profits. He couldn't really afford my fees afterward, so as payment, he let me use the room whenever I needed it. I was waiting up there for Beverly to arrive. It was about an hour later when I heard a knock on the door. I opened the door and greeted my client. Hello, Mrs. Reynolds. Please Peter, call me Beverly. Mrs. Reynolds makes me sound old and I may not be Mrs. Reynolds much longer. Fair enough. Did you have any troubles getting here? No, I drove here as soon as I hung up talking to you. I was kind of nervous about talking to your friend, Lin Tao, though. When he showed me through the kitchen to the hallway and pointed up those stairs, I was starting to get concerned. But I'm here and I see what the whole purpose for the secrecy was. Yes, it is difficult to meet in a place where we can't be spotted these days. Here if anyone was following you, they would think you just went in for lunch or something. I came in another way on the next street over. Very clever. Anyway, here is the information you wanted. I have told you his name already, she said, handing me a manila envelope. Yes, I did a quick internet search and found him. I know a few things already from that. He's a plastic surgeon, isn't he? That's right, and a very good one. I was one of his first clients. Well then, he is indeed talented, I said. Thank you. I had a nose job, a chin lift. I guess I was his practice dummy, she said. I can't imagine you needing any work done. And you certainly don't strike me as a dummy. Ah, aren't you sweet, she said, smiling. So what's next? Well, I will do a credit check and I will check out the names you have given me here of his other female acquaintances. His little girls, we can call them what they are, she said angrily. Yes. Anyway, I can do more digging and then I may have to do some surveillance in order to catch him down, so to speak. Whatever you have to do. I just need to know if he is cheating or not, so I know where to go from here. If he is cheating, I will divorce him. And if he's not, well, he never needs to know I hired you to check up on him, she said. Understood, I said. I got up, offered her my hand and helped her to her feet. As I pulled her up, she sort of half stumbled a bit. Thank you. I don't know what happened, she said shyly. No problem. Are you okay? Yes, I'm fine now, she said, straightening and smoothing her outfit. Thank you again for doing this for me, Peter. Well, I will get on this and see what I can find out for you. If you think of anything else or if anything else happens, let me know, I said, walking her to the door. I will. And she walked out the door and started down the stairs, returning through the restaurant the way she came. I shut the door after she left. The next few days I busied myself in the investigation. I learned that my subject had the 4 credit cards Beverly had listed. But he also had 2 more, a gold MasterCard, and a platinum Visa, that apparently she had no knowledge of. I learned he drove a Lexus GS, which is a very nice $50,000 luxury automobile. I learned that while they lived in Montclair, the pair had a summer place in Southampton as well. This guy lived a pretty good life. But I was getting paid good money to find some dirt on this guy, and so after I had the paper research done on him, it was time to put him under the microscope and see what he didn't have written down. I packed my very ordinary Toyota Camry with the things I would need for an evening of surveillance and headed over to Manhattan where Paul's office was. Beverly had given me a call that morning telling me that Paul had said he had to work late that day and wouldn't be home till later that evening. Yeah, right. So I went over there and parked a little way down the street and on the other side and waited. About 20 minutes later, I saw Paul pull out of the parking lot of the office building. I started to follow him, staying a couple cars behind him so I wouldn't be too obvious. He drove over to Hackensack to a small house on fairly nice-looking neighborhood street where he pulled into the driveway there and into a small detached garage and shut the door. He obviously didn't want to be noticed parking there from the street. I parked a couple houses down the street on the other side and waited a bit. After about a half hour, I knew he wasn't coming out soon. So I got my camera and walked carefully up to the house. Walking around the house and peeking gingerly into the windows, I finally spotted him in one of the bedrooms, with a very attractive young woman. I made sure my camera was set up and snapped a couple pictures of their activities, then waited for more action. I didn't have long to wait either. I had everything I needed for my investigation now. I returned to my car, putting my camera safely away, and drove to the office. A few minutes downloading and organizing the pictures and I was ready for the reveal. Hello, Beverly. I have some information for you. Can we meet and discuss my findings? I said, calling her the next day after I knew her husband was at work. Yes, I can come to your office if you like. Yes, that would be fine. Shall we say in about an hour? An hour is perfect. See you then, she said. Beverly sounded like it was a good morning. It was a shame that I would soon ruin her good mood.